Can micro four thirds perform well for travel photography in the beautiful island of Bali? In today's video, I'm going to share my thoughts, observations, and experience of using micro four thirds cameras and lenses for a relaxing holiday in Bali, Indonesia. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video. Hey friends, Gary here. Welcome to today's video and welcome to Bali, Indonesia. So me and my wife Nora here, we're having vacation in Bali for just a few days, and we're just going to stay around the hotel area. This is called Hotel Ayana in Jimbaran, Bali. And yeah, we're just resting, relaxing, enjoying the hotel, swimming and having some nice food here and there. And yeah, we enjoy our time so far. And in today's video, I want to share a little bit about our experience, especially related to photography, micro four thirds, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully you will like today's video. So our stay here in Bali is a staycation kind of vacation, meaning that we're just staying at the hotel. We're not going to locations. Photography is not the main purpose of this particular trip. We just want to rest and relax and get away from our hometown and just enjoy a different kind of scenery. So yeah, no banger kind of photos in this particular trip. We're not really doing the Iceland kind of thing where we visited so many different kinds of locations, trying to create banger photos of waterfalls, mountains, that kind of stuff. No, this is just relaxing, minimalist travel photography, just documenting our interesting little moments in our everyday life while we are traveling here in this beautiful resort here in Bali. Also, currently in Bali, it's the Nyepi holiday, meaning that we cannot go outside of the hotel anyway because they're restricting activities, things like that. It's a sacred holiday here in Bali where no one does anything, just stay inside the house and just contemplating, doing reflection, that kind of thing. So we want to respect that, and we just stayed in the hotel and basically just relaxing and doing nothing. Now, speaking about photography, I want to explain a little bit about the photography situation, especially gear later on. I'm using micro four thirds, as you already know if you are a follower of my channel. But basically, as I mentioned before, photography is not the main purpose of this trip. So it's just relaxing, minimalist travel photography, documenting everyday lives. Mostly it's going to be portraits of my wife and sceneries, that kind of stuff, and also everyday photography of the objects that we are encountering. For example, food photography, maybe a little bit of flower photography, anything that we find to be nice, entertaining, and interesting. So that kind of stuff. Not a whole lot of landscape, not a whole lot of street photography, but yeah, nevertheless, this is intentional. I want it to be relaxing because I want to use photography as a tool to wind down, to relax, and to have a good time, and not, do too much effort in terms of photography so that it becomes like a chore in this particular trip. And that means in terms of camera gear, which I will explain shortly, I want to have the most minimalist setup while at the same time still be able to be flexible, versatile, be able to capture so many different kinds of things that I encounter during this particular trip to Bali. And yeah, I will break down the lenses, the camera that I was using, and also some other non-micro four thirds gear that I brought in this particular trip, how they perform, the challenges, the benefits of using them, shortly after this. And yeah, the philosophy here when it comes to gear, I don't want the gear to get in between me and my picture. I want everything to be as seamless as possible, as streamlined as possible. Camera setting, mostly it's going to be aperture priority or shutter priority, sometimes full manual if I want full control of everything, but everything is in auto ISO. I just want the ability to point at things and shoot right away, and I don't want to care too much about camera settings. I just want to capture the photo right away. Also, I'm shooting RAW. RAW actually is easier compared to JPEG in this kind of situation, because if you mess up with the exposure a little bit, or you mess up with the white balance a little bit, you still have the flexibility to recover them in post-processing. Anyway, in terms of camera gear, a few days ago I made a travel packing video mentioning the lenses and cameras that I am bringing on this particular trip. You might want to check out the video maybe right here, and that explains what I think will be the best gear for this particular trip. But there has been some changes and I will explain it to you really soon. So first of all, the G100, as I mentioned on my travel packing video, this is the perfect camera for travel photography because it is small, it is lightweight, it is not that much heavier compared to my lightest Micro Four Thirds camera, but it is so capable. First of all, ergonomic is excellent. I mean, holding this camera with this grip right here and front position shutter button makes it very enjoyable to operate. There's EVF and also fully articulating screen. Both are very useful when you're doing travel photography, especially when I'm doing low angle vertical composition for capturing sunset, stuff like that. This has been very helpful. I mostly shoot in aperture priority and I leave the lens wide open at f2.5, sometimes f5.6, and yeah, that's been my most used setting. Sometimes I switch to shutter priority if I want to have an absolute control of my shutter speed. When I'm photographing a fast action movement, there were some monkeys in the hotel that I want to document, photograph with my Micro Four Thirds camera, and sometimes I even shoot in full manual as well. And luckily with the G100, manual control is pretty enjoyable. There are plenty of buttons and dials to help quickly change settings. Also, more importantly, the G100 features 20 megapixel Micro Four Thirds sensor that is very punchy and it produces nice pictures. I will show some sample pictures right after this. So, after that, I want to talk a little bit about the lenses. 14mm f2.5. Yes, this has become my primary lens. It worked amazingly well during this particular trip. Image quality is extremely pleasing. Allow me to share some photos right now captured during that trip using this particular lens. 14mm is extremely flexible for most situations. I pretty much don't have to think too hard in order to get some nice composition with 14mm. I think this is excellent for environmental portrait of my wife, also for a little bit of selfie with my wife, and also for everyday stuff and scenery. This is the perfect focal length. And then let's talk a little bit about f2.5 aperture. I think it is large enough for both lower light situation and also to create a little bit more background blur. But sometimes I wish this is f1.8 or f1.7, but again, yeah, this is kind of a compromise here and there. You just have to prioritize on which compromise that you are willing to do. I don't want to carry larger lens, even though I have the 15mm f1.7 Panasonic Leica lens that isn't that much larger compared to this guy. So yeah, I think I made the right decision with the 14mm f2.5. This is the MVP of this particular trip. Moving on, Panasonic Lumix 20mm f1.7, this guy right here. I didn't use it at all during the trip. I think the 14mm is already very flexible. I do not feel the need to change lens at all. I can just get closer with the 14 and I can get almost similar result compared to the 20. So yeah, unfortunately the 20 didn't get used at all. And next lens, the Panasonic Lumix 35 to 100mm f4 to f5.6. I use it a few times to capture some faraway landscape shots and also to try to photograph some wildlife, especially monkeys around the hotel area. There were some monkey sanctuaries and I want to capture some of the monkeys with this lens, and I think I got some nice shots. I will share some photos right now. Not a whole lot of pictures captured with this guy, only a few important teleshots that I cannot achieve using my 14. And yeah, luckily this lens is not that big, it's not that heavy, so carrying it is not really a big problem, and image quality is fantastic as usual with this guy. So yeah, a perfect addition to the 14mm. So yeah, 14mm, 20mm, 35 to 100. I am missing ultra wide angle lens, and yeah, there were definitely some occasions where I sorely need ultra wide angle lens. I think it will make more sense. I think I learned my lesson, so next time, maybe if I'm visiting Bali or similar destination, I will just skip the 20mm and go with a compact ultra wide angle lens like the Panasonic Leica 9mm or maybe the TTArtisan's 10mm f3.5. Anyway, there are a couple of interesting points and also challenges that I want to mention regarding photography gear in this particular Bali trip. First of all, again, as I mentioned, we did not visit locations at all. We just stayed in this beautiful hotel. As you can see, it's very beautiful, lots of gardens, there are even waterfalls. So we really enjoy staying here. And yeah, it's also the national holiday, so when we are visiting some famous locations, it will be crowded and packed anyway, so we don't want that. Yeah, and that means we have to be very creative when it comes to compositions and also how to employ our surroundings to try to create nice pictures, something that looks interesting. And also, as I mentioned, I use the 14mm Panasonic Lumix lens as my primary lens, and it is very similar to the main lens of my smartphone, 28mm, 14mm in Micro Four Thirds. And I have to be extra creative to make sure that my photo can stand out from smartphone photos because of the similar focal length. That's another challenge. Also, I'm using primarily, as I mentioned, 14mm. That's a prime lens, no zoom lens at all. I mean, I have the 35 to 100, that's a zoom lens, but for my everyday stuff, the 14mm is my preferred lens. Being a prime lens, I do not have the ability to zoom in or zoom out. That's the only focal length that I have, and that creates some challenge. I become restricted in terms of composition. But if you think about it, using a prime lens actually makes you freer, if that makes sense. You feel a sense of freedom, knowing that you don't have to capture everything. Not everything can be captured with this focal length, and that makes me feel free from the obligation of trying to capture everything. That makes me become more intentional with my photography. I slow down a lot, and I don't mind missing shots. That's a very good thing to have in this particular trip, because again, my intention is to relax, to enjoy the trip using photography, not the other way around, to put effort into my photography so that I enjoy the pictures, that kind of stuff. No. So this setup has been perfect. Let's talk a little bit about non-Micro Four Thirds camera. Let's begin with my phone, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. No, this is not my main photography tool, although it has cameras. I use this primarily only to capture videos. I capture a little bit of photos here and there with my phone, but it's just for documentation. It's not quote-unquote keeper pictures. So the thing with phone is that my setup, the G100 with the 14mm, isn't that bigger, isn't that heavier compared to my phone. It is much more enjoyable to use, and I already have the strap right here, which is a PGY tech strap, and the camera is always attached to my neck all of the time. So taking picture with it is much faster, much more convenient than just taking out my phone from my pocket, going into the camera app. It's just too slow, it's just too cumbersome, and I ended up not liking taking picture with my phone at all. Next non-micro four thirds camera is the camera that's currently recording this video right now, and that is the DJI Action 4 action camera. I use this primarily for underwater B-roll when I'm swimming. I just want to document how beautiful the swimming pool is, and also for talking head video like what I'm doing right now for this particular vlog. It's been very useful for that because of the wide kind of focal length and also the ability to connect with my wireless microphone, the DJI Mic 2. It's just very easy to use. And I did not bring my Pocket 3. The Pocket 3 might produce better result, but I want just one camera. I don't want to bring too much when it comes to video camera, and the Action 4 makes more sense in this trip because I want to use it for swimming. The Pocket 3 is not submersible, so this wins. Next, I want to talk a little bit about my carry solution. For my primary camera carry solution, I use this bag. As I mentioned on my previous video, this is the Alpaka Elements Tech Case. It's about 2 liter or 2.5 liter, I cannot remember. It is not that big. It is so small actually, and to fit all of these cameras and lenses, it's actually a little bit cramped. But that's the point. I want a specifically smaller bag to use in this trip to carry my cameras and lenses, because that will help to reduce my tendency to overpack. Furthermore, this bag is not a dedicated camera bag, so it's more stealthy, more inconspicuous. I don't look like a creep when I'm taking pictures and carrying this bag around. And also it doesn't signal to people that I carry expensive cameras and lenses inside of this bag. So it's been very useful. Also, besides carrying my camera equipment, I will usually have my notebook right here, and also my power bank, some cables, some medicine, some everyday carry stuff inside of this bag, and it's been able to handle everything just nicely. And also to back up my photos captured using my G100 and videos captured using both my Action 4 and my phone during the trip, I brought some items that can help me to back up without having to carry laptop, just using my phone and a couple of devices. First of all, I brought with me my SSD. This is the Samsung T5 portable solid state drive. This is 1 terabyte. I think it's more than large enough to back up my photos on this trip. And second item that I brought with me is this USB-C hub right here with some USB ports and also SD card reader. So you can just use this, attach your SSD into one of the USB ports on this USB hub, and also attach your SD card to the card reader, and then connect this USB-C into your phone, and now you are ready to back up your photos into your phone using the file managing app of your phone. And that wraps up today's video. So those are all of my experience and observation about my particular Bali travel photography. Hopefully this video has been interesting, entertaining, useful, and also inspiring. But enough about me. What about you? Let's have a little bit of a discussion. Share your favorite cameras and lenses, tips and tricks related to travel photography in the comment down below. I always love to read your comments. I always love to learn from you. So yeah, anyway, don't forget to support this channel by liking this video, sharing this video, subscribing to my channel down below. If you want to support my work even further, consider joining my Patreon membership. Check out my latest travel video course called Simplifying Travel Photography. Use the affiliate links down below, or maybe use the super thanks button to make a small donation to my channel. Thank you and goodbye.